Hi guys, my name is Mark and welcome to the end of the year battle of the monitors, the fight of IPS versus TN, and the only answer for the question which is the most competitive display in 2022, also known as the review of the Asus AQN monitor, which you already have waited for since January. Let's go. So as I said already, basically this is the review of the Asus PG27AQN. There are, I think, 2 reviews or 3 reviews out there already. The most of you already, I think, watched the Optimum test review. I will do it a little bit different today, and I will show you slight different numbers, I think, because I basically tested it with the same tool he did, but my conclusion was a little bit different to the one he had, or the numbers in general also were a little bit different, but I will show you at the end, or basically at the end. For now, we just talk about the Asus AQN monitor, which is the only available 14, or not available, no, it's not really available, the only display with 1440p 360 Hz. And no, Asus didn't send me one, as I'm in Germany. I can't even buy it here. Someone out of my community just wrote me on Twitter and said, hey Mark, I saw the AQN is soon available in a shop here in Denmark. I can buy it for you and then I can send you. And I want to say thank you for that, by the way. And I just did. I bought it. It was a very nice move from this guy. I appreciate this a lot. Also, he just he also told me he wants to see my review, my thoughts about it, as I'm talking about this monitor since January this year, as a lot of people have done or talked about it, because basically I think 2nd January or something like that was the date of the announcement for this monitor. And since then it was unclear when this monitor will appear on the market and will be for sale, as we didn't even know for, like, I think the first informations were there 3 weeks ago, and it was clear that in the USA, or the USA market will be the first who is able to buy it. I got some insider pictures from some, I think it was from New York, from a Micro Center co-worker who just sent me the pictures out of the intranet. Thanks for that, by the way. It also had some very valuable informations. And then the display, I think, or the monitor in general, was sold out on the first day. And I can understand it, because a lot of people waited a way too long time for this display. And we all just waited too long for a new display technology. Remember, it's over 2 years that we had the Asus 360 Hz 24.5 inch G-Sync monitor, which was on this point extremely fast, but a little bit blurry when you compared it with the clearness of a BenQ Sovi with Diagon Premium and 240 Hz. But the 360 Hz was so superior in combination with the G-Sync model, and the overall experience and game experience was just superb. So that was the point back in the days when I switched over to it, and I paid, not gonna lie, I didn't even know I don't need a fucking reflex tool. I bought the QNR for 999 euro at Alternate, a German store, and I was like, okay, great. And some later I realized the 200 euro cheaper version, the normal QN, basically the same thing, just would have saved me 200 euro, but it's okay. And I already sold it, by the way, to another guy out of my community. I hope you have fun with it. It served me very well, to be honest. One of the displays I played the longest time, I can remember, because the BenQ Sovi, the 240 Hz K model, I didn't play it very long because it was not enjoyable because of the 240 Hz. And now I would say we have basically a new king of IPS displays, which is the AQN monitor made by Asus with an AU Optronics display, which is also the manufacturer of the BenQ 2566K display, which is a TN panel, and the AQN is a IPS panel. And they are both very, very competitive. And I can tell you, if you buy one of them, the Asus or the BenQ, you don't make anything wrong, because they are both very good and both are very, how can I say, they're just worth the money. Now you ask me, is the Asus really worth a premium of compared like 400 euro extra to the BenQ? And honestly, I would say yes, it's just worth it. And if you might ask yourself, where's the cat coming from? She's around the whole time. But yeah, because the AQN is basically the very first display, the very first ultra fast IPS display on the market. And it's basically, or at some point, it is even faster than TN panels. Yes, it don't have the minimum response time of 0.5 ms. It's only 0.1 ms. It's a little bit below. I can show you later. But in general, the average milliseconds from gray to gray is better than on the fastest TN panel right now available than on the BenQ. But I will show you later in our overview, in our test I've done with my Elder tool brought to me by NVIDIA, and with the display analyzer tool they have written, and it's very good. It showed me a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot of stuff whilst benching and testing this displays, or both of the displays. And basically it's just worth it, let me say it this way, but I will show you later. We should just start off with the, as I said, with the announcement, which was from 4th January, not 2nd, I'm sorry guys. It's from 4th January, it was made on the CES this year, so it's like over 10 months ago that we had the announcement for this monitor. NVIDIA was just introducing the new 1440p eSport display standard mode with OLED, with mini LED, with the new ultra fast IPS. They showed a lot of stuff there. They just wanted to introduce like a higher level, or a better support for higher resolutions on a competitive frame, and they did, and it works, because I just tested it here, and I didn't test it with a 40 series graphics card. I tested it with a 3090 Ti. Of course, it's still a very high-end card, but it's really capable of doing 360 FPS in any game I've tried, and it also runs 300 FPS capped in Apex, for example, without any problems. There was never a drop. Overwatch, for example, I'm running always above 550 FPS the whole time, the whole game, the whole day. So for me, the step from 4040p on a 3090 series card was like maybe 20, 30 FPS less compared to full G, so to 1080p. So it was pretty good, no problem at all. Here on the NVIDIA page, you see like an average of FPS. Like you have like, I don't think they tell which card it is, but they show you have above 360 FPS basically in every game. And if you have a modern system, which is not a 10 series or a 5800X or below in specs, and you at least have like a 3070 Ti, I think your system is easily capable of doing it with the right graphics settings. And if you have a better system, like I have like 5800X3D with a 3090 Ti, there is no problem playing 1440p over 360 FPS. And even if you decide to get this monitor and play games with a FPS number or with FPS below the monitor's refresh rate, there's no problem, because this monitor has a native G-Sync module which will help you and maintain a very good screen feeling whilst staying or idling below 360 FPS. That's what it's made for, the G-Sync technology. And it doesn't even introduce that much latency. It's 0.1 milliseconds by activating it. That's all. But it maintains and keeps your overall FPS on a very good level. And it also stabilizes your frame times in game, so you don't get those rocky, bumpy feeling in the game and the jitters, and it doesn't look like the FPS falling down on the screen at 360 hertz. So you can enjoy the feeling of 360 hertz on FPS numbers below 360. That's one very, very good side effect here. And I'm glad they introduced, or they just put the native G-Sync model in here, because in before last year I was buying or bought the AQN Asus, the version before this monitor, which didn't have a native G-Sync model, which was only FreeSync, and has a 240 hertz display, which has an overdrive to 270 hertz. So was overclockable to 270 hertz with an Innolux display. Colors were great. It also has ULMB technology and was very bright, but the overall feeling when you overclocked it was just bad, not comparable with 360 hertz, and 240 hertz was just not a great feeling anymore. When you play over 1 year 360 hertz with a 4000 hertz mouse, for example, it's just a way different feeling going back to 240 hertz. Also, if you ask me, but can I even feel it 240, 260 hertz? Yes, you can feel it, definitely. And everyone who's telling me you can't feel it are the same persons who say you only can see 24 FPS. Please stop it, guys, and go back to your Game Boy and only play Game Boy then. I can tell you 360 hertz gives you a way, way smoother feeling on any game, even if you don't have the FPS. Just continuing with the announcement here of NVIDIA back in January, they show you a lot of videos here, like how you will improve your aim by using this monitor. This is Seth, by the way. On this video, they also show the other monitors. In this video, you can see that here's one point where I would need to seek it out. Here's one point where you have the Asus and the new AOC close to each other. The AOC series here, this one is a monitor with 300 hertz 1440p, with less integrations, with less features, also with a G-Sync model, and they have the G-Sync Ultimate certification, but it's mini LED, not VLED. It's not dual driver, and as I saw on this video and on the other video, is that it's like you just can see it that this Asus is way better in overshoot response times than the AOC. But I think for people who are more into colors and not into competitive, the AOC may be a good alternative later. Depends on the price. But what I saw so far, the mini LEDs from AOC are also above 1,000 euro. They also talked about OLED G-Sync Ultimate monitors, as you know already, from Alienware, and about a lot of other stuff. Then a little bit later, or on the same day, Asus just revealed those two videos. That's the ROG Global channel. We will link everything down below, or we'll copy you the links below in the channel, so you can just watch or rewatch them if you want. They explain how the new display works, how the dual driver works, how the oxide crystal stuff works, and basically these techniques are the reason why this monitor is so good. And I'm glad they worked together, NVIDIA, Asus and AU Optronics, to make this panel, because it's very, very good, guys. It gives you an awesome feeling. And then we also have like the overview page of Asus, of rogasus.com. This page doesn't even exist in Germany. Here you can read all the terms, all the numbers you need, everything you wanna hear. It's like 360 Hz, 1340p. It has 109 ppi, which gives you a very, very very clear picture. It's very, very fine. It looks super stitched, super fine when you watch those 1440p in any game. And I can say that the colors and the brightness are extremely good. It's a very, very bright display. It has very good viewing angles. Also, the colors are very immersive. For example, in Overwatch, when you go on a map which is like has like a lot of brown tones, something like that, it looks just very good. It gives you awesome feeling. And then the effects, all the glowing effects, they're glowing very strong without getting blurry. So if you see something glow, it glows this way that you still can see the details without it just over blurs because of the glow and you don't see anything. That's not happening here, by the way. It's pretty good. Also, I didn't need digital vibrance to set like to 20 to 75 or 100%. I just let it standard and use the standard color profile of the monitor on Windows. It was very enjoyable, gives you very great colors and on a very good brightness. I used the esports mode here on this monitor and I used it without G-Sync. Had no problems, awesome feeling. And if I ask myself if it improved my tracking, for example, in Overwatch, I would say yes, but just because of the clearness and the overall feeling and the more sight I have by the 27-inch. Because one thing I know you will definitely complain about is the size. The problem is no one of you is even able to compare it to an actual system or monitor. Why? Because there was never a monitor even close to compete with the top monitors. That's the first one who is even able to compete, for example, in the milliseconds in the latency with the BenQ Sovi, and it's the first one on 1440p with 360 Hz, which is capable of really give you a good feeling. For example, the old Asus, that it's over 2 years old, the 360 Hz was just like very blurry, and sometimes it just looked like a pixel dump for me when the digital vibrance, for example, or the saturation or the gamma in general was too high. You didn't enjoy to view it the whole day. And on long streams, when I stream like 6 to 8 or 12 hours, it was just like, at the end of the day, was just like, wow, why I can't see anything. Sometimes I didn't even see enemies on, for example, in the MV2 and MW2 beta, I didn't see some enemies on the museum map. Didn't even see them because the colors there was no color deepness for me and no contrast. Everything looked the same, like a mush, like a pit, like a pixel pit. And here you have very good color deepness. You have very good contrast. You can detailedly spot everyone, even if they are very small, for example, because they're very far away. It's an awesome feeling, not gonna lie, and it's not overhyped. I also don't want to overhype it because I'm really pissed of the price. Because one thing I didn't tell you, I think, is here I have one huge problem with my display. That's why I need to send it back. Even I bought it and I'm very happy. I have like, you see this part of the backlight, so of the WLED is just off. And the box is in perfect condition. Everything is in perfect condition. I don't think it was, or didn't look like it was a damage from the travel or by how the package got to me. It more looks like a QC issue, or I don't know how it got tested. Because normally when you buy your Asus for this price, you have like this test sheet. They pre-test your display. This was the first Asus on the high-end range of a ROG model where I didn't have the test sheet with the milliseconds and the color calibration. Normally you have it. Here I didn't have it. Maybe they are not tested so good or only pre-tested or something like that. I don't know. But doesn't look like they got tested like the Q&R monitors back in the days. So for now, as I said, 27-inch, you say 25-inch, and I tell you this guy can do both because it has a so-called dual mode. And it now comes even better. Yes, you can play full HD on it if you want to with 24-inch, as you have done all the time, but you also can play pixel perfect 25-inch. What does it mean? So the dual mode shrinks it to 25-inch, and then you can make pixel perfect 25-inch. So you have a way more clear picture because the pixel or the amount of pixel is perfectly matching the size of the screen of the 25-inch. It is higher, way higher than your full HD, but it's a little bit lower than 1440p. But it's the most detailed, or the most, how can I say, the most precise picture possible on this display. And it doesn't even add a lot of latency. It only adds 0.3 milliseconds in total, but you still have all the advantages of this display. You have the high brightness, the low latency, the very fast IPS. And the other thing is that you basically can switch it back on the fly without even tapping out of the game. You just can do everything on the monitor right as you are in game, and the game already sees it. For example, Overwatch already displays you the resolutions and the inch of the monitor you're using then. It already reads and accepts everything even before you just doing it. So that's a very good implementation for me, because I know a lot of you a lot of you guys will tell me I don't have enough focus, or the room of focus on 27-inch is too much for me to see everything or to be able to react fast enough. There you get a brand new monitor series, 25-inch pixel perfect monitor. They don't even exist. They're not even on the market. They're not even available. And you get the technology which is way, way, way ahead of the old 360 Hertz monitors. What do you want more? It's like 2 monitors in one with the newest technology for a premium price, but I think it's worth it. And if you really want to use it, there's no reason to not use it, because it's just very good made, not gonna lie. The rest is the advertisement videos I already showed you. Those two is from the Asus page, that's one from the NVIDIA. This one is explains to you how the reflex analyzer works. This guy here has a built-in G-Sync model native, and you have the reflex analyzer option in it. Means you fully can bench your mouse in latency if you want to, and your system. With the NVIDIA overlay and the built-in G-Sync model, you are able to just test everything in terms of latency when it comes to your system, to your render, to your game latency, and to your mouse latency. Because this tool helps you to just analyze and feature and see every millisecond in the game. So the whole render chain is exposed for you, even the latency of the mouse when you click, so end to end. Also mouse latency in separate, because this program can show you the separate mouse latency, because you use the 3.2 USB hub in the monitor, and then it analyzes on which point, on which frame the signal got sent, and then they just show you the exact milliseconds of your mouse. Even it's a mouse which is not already in the reflex pool, so which is pre-tested by NVIDIA. You can test every mouse here if you want to. Just going further, it's like they say it's 3% better aim by inch. I don't know. For me, it's just way more comfort, more overview in very fast scenes and fast gameplays. For example, in Overwatch, when you have like a close fight with a lot of people, you are, because of the room you have between the monitor, which is for me bigger than on my 25-inch display on the Bank to Solve, for example, and the brightness, the good colors, the low latency, so in general, the very, very fast display, it just gives me a way more secure feeling in any situation in the game. And not gonna lie, it didn't stress me as much as it stressed me on the old Asus, because the long play turns like over 4 hours, over 6 hours. It just you get exhausted, because if you need to concentrate your view and your focus very hard on something to keep up with it, it just is a part of your overall body exhaustion, not only of your aim fatigue, but also of the exhaustion of your eyes. And if you have a long day, for example, or like the interior light of your room is not that good, it maybe interferes with your eyes, and then you may get problems after some hours, and you're getting tired eyes very fast. And with this display, I can tell you, this will not happen. I already played 2 stints over 8 hours. And even at the end, I didn't have sometimes I had dry eyes on my Asus. I didn't have it here. It was very enjoyable, because I was able to I sit like this and have the monitor this far away. And normally, if you are in my stream, the monitor is like here. So I basically doubled the distance from my head to my monitor, and it's very good. It's very, very enjoyable for me. But the monitor, the colors, and the way I can spot and identify enemies, for example, in Overwatch, is still the same. because of the good colors, the brightness, the fastness, everything is just very well made, and that's for me just a comfort thing. Of course, it's maybe not the most competitive thing you can buy or do or whatever, because the BenQ Sovi still has the clearest picture on the market with the Diag Premium. But in overall terms of usability, playability, of usage for videos, for work, for everything else, the Asus is far ahead to the BenQ. The BenQ is only there with the TN panel to serve you with Diag Premium to have the most clearest picture possible. Optimum Tech called it Black Magic. I say it's just like it's like a clear hack, and I think the flicks will be way better on this one, because I saw with Sojun, it's one champ in Overwatch. The right click with the special, with the ult, is way more secure with the BenQ than it is with this one. So that's just to compare it for you, how it feels in game. The rest I will show you in numbers, of course. I also checked like displayspecifications.com, which is a page some of you may know. And sometimes it's very interesting how they get these numbers here, like average response time, minimum response time. I mean, minimum response time is the one which the lowest is possible by the display, and the average should be the one which is, yeah, the one you, in terms of, you would think when you say on a daily or on a game use, but it's not, I can tell you already. For both, these numbers are wrong. And also for the input lag, the numbers are wrong. I measured everything with the LDAT tool and the display analyzer tool brought to me by NVIDIA with the newest versions. I spent a lot of hours to do this, not gonna lie. Also, it was for me very, very interesting to see that the difference now between TN and IPS isn't even, it's not even existing anymore when in terms of latency, to be honest. Also not in terms of, okay, maybe the overshoot is a little bit more here, but it's total difference by brightness, by colors. And to be honest, for this picture, I will have no problem with a little bit more overshoot. But for now, I just tell you the input lag on both is pretty much the same. In average, it's around 1.7 milliseconds in pure input lag of the monitor. It's not 2 or 2 and 3 on the BenQ Sovi. It's not even close to 2.3 milliseconds. It's lower there. Also here it's lower. I measured it, I don't know, way over 20 times. I just pressed the button to make this test, because the lowest number I ever had was on the AQN with 1.4, but the median of numbers was around 1.6 and 1.7 on both displays. The highest number I had on the BenQ was 1.9 milliseconds. So they are very, very close to each other in terms of input lag. I tested it on both without G-Sync and without using the Diag here. We are now want to talk about the average response times. For that, I also used the tool. I benched both. We start with the Asus AQN. At first, I want to say, or want to give you the numbers for the brightness, because I talked already about the brightness IPS compared to TN, and I told you this one is very bright, and it has a peak nit of 472.8 nits, and the peak brightness on the BenQ without the Diag is like 224.9 nits. You don't need to be a genius in math to see that the Asus is as double as bright as the Sovi, but you really can see it. When you just put the Asus in, you see how bright it is and how colorful. Gives you an awesome feeling. When it comes to response time, the average on both is 1.4 milliseconds. The max measured response time on the Asus was 2 milliseconds, and on the BenQ was 4.7 milliseconds. And I think on the BenQ is the problem that the brightness and the low brightness of the TN display and basically the way how it's driven with the voltage difference. So in general, you would say because it's just not as bright. It has these problems at the end and has some of these high numbers here on the end, but basically the average is the same. And I think those max numbers, 4.7 milliseconds, are so exotic, like you can see here, that it should be no problem. When it comes to the overshoot, the average overshoot is 13.3% for the BenQ Sovi. This is very, very low, and it's not even with diag. And the overshoot on the AQN is 16.7%. So the overshoot is only 3% more on the AQN than you can compare it in average on the BenQ. But the max overshoot here is 30% on the BenQ due to 37% on the AQN, which is still very low, because if you see the average response time, they are so low and so good that I think the overall experience on both is pretty much the same. But as I said, the more clear picture is still possible with the BenQ Sovi with the diag on premium. So for that, I think those numbers clearly show you what you want to know about the overshoot and the average response time. That's one of the most valuable informations. But I also did the old school end-to-end latency test with the GPX here. And just to compare it, I also put in the old Asus QNR, which I used, and we just compare it. I can tell you that the AQN and the 2566K BenQ basically have nearly the same latency. It's 6.74 milliseconds end-to-end latency to 6.93 milliseconds on the BenQ Sovi. So when I click the button until the shot is fired on the display, it's below 7 milliseconds. Even it's like 6.7 to 6.9, which is only 0.2 milliseconds in difference. I can tell you this is for me close to a measure failure. It's like this can happen by just having some different settings in the program or whatever. This is basically nothing. So for me, the input latency, so the end-to-end latency is basically the same on both displays. But here you have better colors, better brightness. There you have more clear picture with diag on premium. And as you can see, the Asus is the old QNR, which is 7.43 milliseconds in end-to-end latency, but with way, way, way more overshoot and a picture which is not even close to be clear to one of these two guys. Huh? So that's basically it for today. And all I wanted to show you, I did, to be honest, I did show you, because for me it's more important to just give you this comparison out of how it feels and make sure that you understand that both monitors are awesome. I don't think there is this one is better or this one is better. I think both have the privilege or need to be there, need to be on the market. One thing I would love to see is that the AQN gets way, way, way cheaper, because it's very expensive in my opinion. It's over 1,000 euro, so even over 1.1. And I think, or it would be awesome if AU Optronics gives or opens this display technology to other competitors, so we have a diversity of producers on the market with this panel, so we see more of these displays, more availability. But I think it will take some time, because as much as I read and know, it's kind of exclusive for Asus, but I don't hope it is true. So guys, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, put it down in the comments below. See you on the next video. Bye bye.